they're doing some sort of magic with a K, like just crazy visionaries. And yeah, it does feel like a little like weird saying that for like a band I just like heard, but I was just, yeah, my mind's blown. Like they're gonna, yeah, stay in rotation for me.
Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, whether we like it or not. That's a whole new discography per episode. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my nice, clean, happy, and enthusiastic co-host, Alexander Volcelo.
Hello.
And today, we'll be discussing every album by
Deceit.
Deceit. This was requested by Greg on Patreon. Thank you so much, Greg, for supporting us and suggesting this. No longer accepting requests on Patreon because Alex is leaving the show by the end of the year. If you don't know why he's leaving the show, check out our King Crimson Part 1 episode where he goes into full detail. But for the time being, we have a lot of obligations and duties to fill. So everyone who's already made a request, we're knocking them out. This is requested by Greg. Deceit. Now, this band is a band that I had never heard of. I posted on Patreon the schedule, and everyone was like, "Oh shit, Deceit!" Like everyone, Deceit. Like, so this is a band that people know and respect. I had never heard of them. We have now heard them, Alex. What do you think?
Very, very interesting band. I also brand new to me. Not everything lands, but mind blowing. The stuff they were recording is like late 70s, 80s, but it just really sounds like every like weird experimental band I saw at the Smell in LA. Like,
I think this band, I love this band. And I find them to be like, even though I do enjoy like that kind of the era of the Smell in LA that you're talking about, those bands, I think this is much more. I think this band is fucking crazy. And so going in completely blind, in my head, I'm thinking, I think I looked them up once a long time ago when I got the request and thought like, oh, maybe they were probably noise rock adjacent. And then I get the album like, wait, 79, that's definitely not noise rock. What the hell is this? Upon hearing this, I'm like, oh, this is fucked up. This is some fucked up music. I'm in.
Yeah, I definitely like one album more than the other, but that other album is like, yeah, it's like its own thing. This band is this inexperience, I guess. I feel like that's a little cliche to say, but like in particular, like I just walked away in awe of the drummer in this band. Like he's doing so many like cool, interesting beats and like very busy and just not playing like stereotypical drum beats.
You're saying you definitely lean more toward one album than the other because there's only 2 official albums. There's also an EP and the Peel Sessions. I didn't hear the Peel Sessions. I'm definitely going to check out the Peel Sessions after this. But we did listen to the EP. We'll talk a little bit about it, but there's only 2 tracks, so we're not going to give it its own full entry on the episode. But you're saying you're leaning more toward one album over the other. I have a guess of which one it is, but I love both albums so much for completely different reasons because they are 2 completely different albums, and they give very different impressions of what this band even is. Because upon first hearing it, I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, oh, this is like the score to a foreign horror movie from the 60s. Like that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds really odd and unusual and very unsettling. And there's a lot of dicking around. There's a lot of experimental kind of electronic noisiness and just atmosphere, a lot of atmosphere. Not all of it lands for me, but the stuff that does land really does it in the right way, the same way I enjoy that kind of old creepy cinema stuff. But when they do songs, because they also do songs, they make songs I have never fucking heard before. that like I've become so grateful these days when I could hear like, oh, I've never heard a song that sounds like that. What the hell are those melodies? That's weird.
I agree. Their sound is their own sound. You can't really like compare them to anything else. The closest thing I would say is like it's kind of like proto Swans in a way.
There was one quick brief moment. We'll get to it very quickly, but one moment was like, this is like early Swans, but like not more brutal, but more of something else. But you're thinking of early Swans. The band that I compare it to immediately is Throbbing Gristle, which I've only heard a few of their albums. It's a band that I've been wanting to do an episode on for a long time, but it's a band that requires a lot more. This is two albums. We can do this. Yeah. 2 albums in an EP. Throbbing Gristle is one of the most confusing discographies. I mean, lots of live albums that are essential live albums. I mean, just it's very confusing. But it's a band that's all over the place. You can't really peg them down. They're very crazy. They're very weird. But when they go dark and disturbing, it's dark and disturbing, dude. It's like, who listens to this shit for fun? Me. It's something I really enjoy about it. Something that makes me feel some shit. Like some of these songs make me feel stuff. I can't exactly pinpoint it exactly, but it's not just edgy or we're going to make this bleak shit and we're going to make you feel like dirt and it's going to be really, really gritty and depressing. It's not really like that. There's some moments that are genuinely light and like uplifting, but they just feel off. There's stuff here when they go minimal, it's like the perfect amount of nothing happening in the song. There's just like one drum and then a vocal line. It's like, oh, and it feels perfect for some reason. There's something a little bit otherworldly about this band. I can't really pinpoint. It's pulled off in a very unique and I think impossible to replicate kind of way.
I did note something similar that they really know how to pick their spots. Like you can say it's like minimal because you're not hearing like layers upon layers, but like what they're playing isn't actually minimal.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah,
there's such characteristic choices, such little things that like why that? But it's I find it to be very, very engaging. Moments that I don't quite get as engaging or like the long, noisy electronic sections of things, and that's kind of where I dip out. But I think overall, it's they're such a fascinating band that I know absolutely nothing about, and that's why we have our history guy Tom Osman, who digs up dirt for us, and he pulled an interview feature from Loud and Quiet in 2016 that goes into some of this backstory. So the members, they're a trio with Charles Bullen on vocals, guitar, clarinet, drums, tapes, Charles Hayward on vocals, drums, keyboard, guitar, bass, guitar, tapes, and Gareth Williams on vocals, bass, guitar, keyboard, and tapes.
Tapes.
A lot of tapes. Everyone plays everything. It's a band where everyone plays everything. And this piece says, the band were a trio who were originally active between 1976 to 1982, consisting of Charles Hayward, Charles Bullen, and Gareth Williams. Hayward was primarily a drummer, having played in groups before, most notably Quiet Sun, who disbanded in 1972 with their guitarist Phil Manzanera going on to join Roxy Music. So that's an overlap I wasn't expecting.
No, not at all.
Hayward put an advert in Melody Maker. I think some of the words, this is a quote, I think some of the words used might have been Wasteland, Mutant, and Aqualung, he reckons. And Bullen responded, turning up for an audition at Hayward's parents' house in Camberwell. It was a tiny room with egg boxes on the wall, says Bullen. One he used as a drum rehearsal room. It was about 6 foot square, and we just squeezed in an amp and a person. Jesus Christ. Hayward says Charles could play very hard and fast, but he would use an effect and make it feel like it was coming in from miles away. The sound would then feel like it was getting nearer because he was using a swirl pedal. He spelled pedal
with
wrong.
the T?
Peddle. The pair continued as a two-piece for some time, experimenting and pushing the limits of their number until they realized they were not quite complete as a duo. They brought in Gareth Williams, who was a complete non-musician. And Hayward says, Gareth had big ears, which was more important than his abilities as a musician.
Oh,
That's
boy.
beautiful.
Yeah.
When that can work, because it can work. I remember, was it Nick Six from Daz and Killman? He was like barely learning guitar when Daz and Killman started. That worked out pretty damn good.
Yes, it did.
Going on, it says, this heat was born in the combination of Boland's and Hayward's profound musical ability and shared vision of experimentation, and Williams' non-musician presence solidified a truly unique export, one that challenged the conventional structures and approaches of music in the 1970s, often because one of their members simply didn't understand them. Well, yeah, that's one way to fucking do it.
Well, yeah, I guess when one of your keywords is mutants, you want someone who
Yeah, someone to fuck.
It's all alien to them. Yeah.
Hayward says right here, he says one of the most effective things about working with Gareth was that he just didn't know, so he questioned everything. That's actually very valuable.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. The group found a home for their improvisations and experimentations in an old meat factory in Brixton. Why does that fit so perfectly? An old meat factory.
Yeah. Once, for those not familiar with the band, especially their first album, once you listen, this makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense. Going on, it says setting up in what was disused was a disused cold storage room. The room cum studio was named fittingly cold storage. And then Boland says it was an old industrial space that was earmarked for demolition at some point in the future, but there wasn't going to be any money for it for a good few years. So it was leased out by its owners to Acme Galleries, who were an artist collective, and the place became filled mostly with visual artists. The actual cold storage room that we used had no windows, big thick metal doors on it, a low ceiling with metal zinc sheeting on the walls. It wasn't really any use to visual artists because there was no natural light. When we moved in there, there was no air, and there's no air in there, so we had to pull off one of the sheets and hired a Kango hammer and drilled a hole in the wall just to get some air in it.
The irony of being in a cold storage and it's not cold.
Not cold at all. It's just fucking dying there.
Sounds like it.
Right here it says, essentially this was a group anticipating and constructing the formula of punk, but presenting it in a style that had already seemed bored of the primitive growl of punk before it had even really been heard. Boland recalls being excited by the prospect of such a movement, but less so with the reality. He says, I remember reading about this scene in NME in 1977 about people singing lines like "No More Rolling Stones." We were thinking, great, imagining some sort of musical revolution was coming. But then when we heard this purported revolution, we were like, it just sounds a bit like the Rolling Stones. Although at least they weren't singing in fake American accents like Jagger.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, they're like, this heat they're too far ahead of their times. I can't imagine it'd be easy. I mean, in the year 2025, their music's a hard sell.
Yeah.
But there's, the internet and people who are more accepting of it. So it feels like a bigger audience. But, ooh, man, like the world, man,
the world wasn't ready.
They Marty McFly'd this one.
They sure did. And here's the thing. I still don't think the world is ready. I think Brady's a stupid, dramatic kind of word. But I mean, like, when this band seems like it needs to get seen and found, this is one of the bands where this is a rare band. I can't even think of very many others where once the right person finds this, once the right group of people finds this is going to be fucking studied and beloved. Like it's ahead of its time, but it's like, it's also like we're in the right era for it. The internet era of like a bunch of weird shit was all over the place. But even in that, this has such sincerity and such authenticity with the way it was recorded and the way it feels that this is like begging to be a fucking hipster's wet dream. Like this, I'm surprised it hasn't blown up yet for what it is. And I feel like it has to.
I mean, if you go to their influences or bands that were influenced by the band, it seems like those who know kind of know, but the like your favorite band's favorite band does feel kind of like a bygone era with the internet. But yeah, you brought up Dazzling Killman earlier. They've noted Deceit as an influence. So
Isn't that cool?
yeah.
Also, not that surprising. They like all the things that they influence are all amazing bands and underground in their own way. But it's also like none of these bands. Okay, I can't. I've not heard all these bands, so I'm not going to say that. But I would say a lot of them don't sound like this. I don't know what sounds like this.
Yeah, like a notable, more notable name is Justin Pearson, and his music from the Locust like sounds nothing like this. So
of course, and also I am not even a little bit surprised to see that Radiohead was influenced by them. There's a moment where it's like, oh, this is Radiohead way the fuck before. But also, when I say Radiohead before Radiohead is like a very pretty melodic kind of band. It's Radiohead in like the approach to the song, not in the way it makes you feel. This makes you feel a very different way than a band like Radiohead. Also influenced fucking Stereolab, Black Midi, also Pill, Glenn Branca, Sonic Youth, a lot of great. This is a beloved band.
Yeah,
for that.
I'm surprised to see the sound of animals fighting on there. That's fucking wild.
Never heard them.
They are pretty beloved, but they feature members of RX Bandits. We
did them a long time ago. But
anyways,
this is this is not accessible music. When I say like it's a band, it's waiting to get discovered by the right group. It's a band that is so interesting and unique, and that it's almost like a morbid curiosity where it's like, oh, this you can look at this as being so revolutionary and innovative for the time period, decades and decades later. It might take another few decades. I don't know, but it's definitely. I feel like it needs to. I feel like it has to. It's almost like I see it happening. I don't even know if it's in my lifetime, but I do see it happening. And how the fuck did I get on that fucking tangent with it? Yeah. So, also relating to that, to be there when punk starts and to think this still isn't it is fucking a curse. It's like the biggest, because even if you didn't love the music of punk, when it happened, it was such an important thing for art. Like you get Michael Girard talking about like that's why he stopped being in our interview with him. Check out the interview with Michael Girard of Swans, where he says like the reason he didn't continue with visual art and he dropped out of art school was because of punk, because it felt like a very important thing that you can't miss this. You have to be a part of this. And they're like, you guys still suck. You guys are still boring. Like that's a curse.
It is a curse. And yeah, it is this like weird, yeah, again, almost like they're this like came from the future or something.
Yeah. Very, very distant future. This quote is from Bullen. He says, "We knew we were out on a limb, but on the other hand, we were quite arrogant. Maybe arrogant is too strong a word, but we were quite sure of ourselves. We knew we were doing something specific. Most of the early gigs, we promoted ourselves and were small, already London gigs. Later on, we did get lumped on stage with random rockier bands. Then later still, we did end up on the bill with some bands we felt a sense of solidarity with, such as 23 Skidoo or the Pop Group or the Slits. Especially by the time of the second album, we were on Rough Trade, as there was definitely more of a scene around that label." I'm very surprised he's throwing out the fucking Slits. I mean, they did like reggae.
Yeah, I know nothing about these bands, so
The Slits was like the reason people know the Slits is because Kurt Cobain cited their first album. Yeah. And I will stand by the song Typical Girls as being one of the fucking greatest songs ever written. But I have mixed feelings about the band. I haven't heard them in a long time. I haven't heard 23 Skidoo or the Pop Group. The Pop Group is one that I'm very interested in. I know they're a huge influence to a lot of great bands. This is funny. It says, looking back at this heat now, it seems like attempting to place any kind of even vague descriptor on them is as difficult as ever. You don't say, if not more. Bullen says, "I hate genre. What I'm into is trans-categorical music, which I think is what this heat did. One classification I hate and always have is industrial." That is one that is like, if you run out of things to say about this heat, You could call him industrial, but he's not happy with that.
I didn't really even think about that genre while listening to them.
And this is even funnier. What he says next, it seems to have died out now, but a lot of people used to throw us in with Throbbing Gristle or whatever, and that really annoyed me.
Well,
the only comparison, I was like, kind of like Throbbing Gristle. Oops.
He reminds me of like Jodorowsky or David Lynch type, where like you compare them to each other because they're so weird and different that they don't really have contemporaries, but then they get upset when you compare them to their contemporaries.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. It's also, there's a thing with being compared to anybody where you think like, you think I sound like that? And even if it's not bad, it's like, you think I'm not completely original, you son of a bitch. But it's not an insult, but it can feel like that to any artist who's really like passionate. I completely get that too. So Throbbing Gristle's not a bad comparison. They're a good band to be compared to. They're a great, interesting, crazy band. If you don't like being compared to any band, I get that. But if you have to, might as well be a good one.
I agree with you.
So we might as well move on to the first album, which is going to be a whole thing in itself. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to skip the opening track because it is just ambient noise.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. This is 1979's Self-Titled. Dude, this is
crazy.
It's like early Swans, but proggy.
And 79. 79.
79.
What the fuck?
It sounds like shit, but it's like, oh, fuck yes, dude.
I mean, it's one of the bands where like the lower production adds to the character of the album.
100%. Especially this album. This is a very lo-fi album. But this sounds like some of the stuff off of Body to Body, Job to Job from Swans.
Yeah,
the early demo.
The drum beat with those strings.
And now they're doing indie hip hop in 1979. they're doing Injury Reserve in 1979.
The like dropouts made me think my streaming was fucked up, but I was like, okay, it's yeah. Like the yeah.
This is pretty nuts. So far, we have no idea what this band is.
I don't even know if I know what the yeah.
So it does so many things.
Like this
very no wavy, but heavier. Yeah, so it goes on. I mean, it does a lot of stuff. It's a lengthy opener, and it does a bunch of crazy stuff. It's a nightmare in song form.
Mm-hmm. At first I was surprised that you really liked this one because I was like, is there too much dicking around on here for Mike? But then you compared it more to a score, and that kind of puts it in a different perspective. But yeah, this is like an album where it's about the vibes, because it's filled with ambient noise, white noise, what have you. But like the song, the song stuff is really, really strong.
Really strong. So this is I become very enamored with this album. I'm not enamored with the band, but I'm enamored with this album because I think it's flawed. I think there's moments where it's like, fuck, that goes on a while. I kind of want to skip that. But everything else, there's just such a overall personality to it. The way it's recorded, the specific type of lo-fi production that this album has is horror movie snuff film level. It's so good. It's so good and so disturbing that when the songs come in, they make you feel some shit. So Horizontal Hold, the opener, is this crazy, it goes all over the place, really heavy cacophonous stuff. And then Not Waving comes on. that song makes me feel some stuff, dude.
Oh, it's eerie as fuck. And then they bring in these like creepy vocals. It's very slow, very, very ominous. It doesn't like crescendo into anything. You just kind of like linger in this swamp.
It lingers. It absolutely lingers. It's some seriously haunted shit. But beautiful. It's beautiful and gorgeous melody, but it's really haunted. It really makes you feel like, oh, this feels like I just opened a door to some shit. I don't know what's gonna happen after hearing this. It's really dark, but still really lovely. And so you get other stuff where it's more transitional mood stuff. That like water is very transitional. It's a very mood ambient stuff. There's a lot of stuff like that on here that some of it really is a bit much, but as for the actual songs, Twilight Furniture, another. Gee, that's what I mean. Where like Radiohead, way before Radiohead, but you can't say it sounds like Radiohead, but they fucking love this song.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, I think there I was like, okay, like this album is an experience, but I think by there I was like, even if they only have like 3 quote unquote real songs on this whole album, I think it's already like cool as fuck. Like a band can write 100 songs, but they'll never write a song as good as Twilight Furniture.
Many will never write a song as good as Twilight Furniture. It's so effective. The minimalism there does so much. I can't even really explain how much the minimalism does for this.
Circling back, that's the song where I noted, okay, like you're only hearing certain things, so it sounds minimal, but they're so effective at picking their spots and being like, this goes here, and then it'll drop out, and then it'll come back in, and it's just like, yeah, I like the way people feel about like Beefheart or something is like, I kind of feel that way about like Twilight Furniture, where I just want to like dissect it.
Yeah, because it's a little easier to follow than Beefheart for sure, because it's more minimal, but there's also like I don't know, the vocals are so, we've heard a lot of things with like hopeless sounding vocals, but they're so thin and small and hopeless, and it just feels it's so disturbed. Like it's truly one of the most interesting songs I've heard in a long time, and it's one of my favorites. Following that with 24 track loop is a bit jarring. That is the weakest thing on the album for me by far.
No, I love it. Like,
really?
Like, it's these like bright metallic sounds. It's just so cool, unique. It's blending like electronic stuff, noise, and it's kind of krautrocky, and it's just like unique. Like you could you can't really pinpoint this band, but in a nutshell, you can kind of like take that song and be like, this is this heat. It's just bonkers, and you don't know what you're going to be in for, really.
I think you might like Throbbing Gristle then, because that one reminded me of Throbbing Gristle.
I've, for like 15 years, I've been meaning to check that band out. I might. There are times where I've heard comparisons and I'm like, this band really sounds like they're up my alley, and I just haven't made the time.
I've only heard, I think, 3 albums, and I liked all 3 of those albums quite a bit. I returned to them I returned to 2 of them a lot. The other one was a live album that I need to spend more time with. But yeah, I was fine with it on first listen. Second listen, the length got me, because it is very long. That one's a doozy.
It's 6 minutes.
Exactly. And then following that with Diet of Worms, I felt to be a bit much, because it's another transition ambient piece, but it's more on the electronic side, very much like 24 track loop.
Diet of Worms is the noisiest soundscape thing on this album. for sure. So I do like agree with you that like back to back like that is the most like jarring part of the album. The 24 track loop with Diet of Worms is definitely not for the faint of heart.
That's the roughest part of the album easily. Because after that, it leads right into music like Escaping Gas, another fucking gut wrenching, disturbing, fucked up, unsettling, but amazing song. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and like looking at my notes, you really need that song because like Rainforest is another just like
Yeah.
only this time with drums. So like you really need music like Escaping Gas to like allow the listener some some breathing room here.
And the thing is, it's breathing room, absolutely, because it gives your ears like an actual break, but it's still so lonesome and creepy and like the vocals are really low and quivery and unsettled. And then at a certain point, you get this distorted breathing in the background. It's like, oh, this is dark. This feels really fucked up.
This is a very dark album. I was thinking about Lingua Willis, even though she came after, but kind of in that same sense where it's these very even the quote unquote lighter parts where there's not as much going on, you're still in this very unsettling mood.
Yeah. And in fact, it's ends up being, at least it hits me harder. The stuff that is way more reined in ends up hitting me a lot harder. The closer is The Fall of Saigon, which, man, the percussion is so cool. I mean, the way it's produced is very haunting, of course, but really cool percussion. And then the vocals are these harmonized group vocals, and it feels like, oh, this is weirdly traditional and like melodic. It's like the most melodic thing on the whole album, these group vocals.
Yeah, it's kind of like this chanting thing. And just as the song, I thought like the song was losing me. They bring in these very like fuzzy, like drawn out guitars. So I just thought that was like, I always think that's interesting whenever a piece of art, I start to think like, okay, I've had enough. It can end. And then it just like pulls me back in like immediately as soon as I have that thought.
Interesting that I had the opposite experience. The guitar part is where it lost me. Because it's just sort of noodling around aimlessly. But overall, I still think it's a really strong closer. There's an outro and an intro, but
sure,
it's basically the closer. But yeah, this is way more of an artistic experience than a musical album. That's for sure.
Agreed. Like you do have to be in the right mind frame to listen to it. This isn't like casual listening. This isn't, I'm in my car, let me throw something on, unless you're a weirdo.
I might be a weirdo.
Yeah. I mean, like if you know what you're getting into, I mean, it's very digestible too. I think maybe some bands this would have been like a very long, drawn out experience, but I think the brevity of it coming in at like around 48 minutes just makes it more approachable, which is weird to say because it's not,
definitely more. It works for it though. Like you think of like already kind of experimental albums, you're not more. I would say probably more times than not, you're going to see a long album because they want to get all these ideas in and they want to let it breathe and do all stuff. But so there's something about it being succinct. Like no, this is just one. It's like a really it's like a very impactful chapter rather than a whole book. You don't need this whole giant story, just this little snapshot. This album feels like a snapshot, and just the way it's pulled up, it feels ancient. It feels raw and disturbing. It feels broken. It's like a hopeless sounding album, but with actual like moments of like beauty and darkness and horror and cacophony for sure. But as a whole, it's a fascinating album. I'm quite moved by it. I'm going to keep this album definitely forever.
I think pitching it kind of like to get people in the right mindset is more like go into it like you're going to listen to an unsettling score with elements of noise, rock, and experimentation is like that. I think that would like help prep listeners better.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't go in expecting just this song followed by this song followed by this. It's way weirder than that. So this piece says heavy on tape loop experimentation as found on tracks such as 24-track loop. For every eerie clang and ghostly what's in the basement clatter, there is the blistering force of tracks like Horizontal Hold, which sounds like a helicopter taking off in the middle of a battlefield. It's a lean record, tight, muscular, and forceful, dry and sparse in tone, but rich in its experimental depths. There's a lurking sense of paranoia that floats over the record like an unwelcome apparition. The influence of the Canterbury scene, particularly Robert Wyatt, can still be detected too, but This Heat is an album of a band very much forging its own personality.
That is one of the best album reviews we've read on this podcast.
It is, I would say, the best.
I almost agree with everything there.
Yeah, pretty much. Holy crap. But we got one more album. No, before that, we have the EP. We have the EP. And we're not going to intro it because there's only 2 tracks. It is a 20-minute EP. It's not a short EP, but
well, there's only so much to talk about, though.
Yeah. It's called Health and Efficiency. Side 1 is Health and Efficiency. Side 2 is Graphic Verispeed. So Health and Efficiency is the song.
Yes,
rules.
Amazing,
absolutely rules.
It kind of sounds like they're going to play normal music, but then it turns into like, I don't know, like it reminded me of Fugazi, and I know like, yeah, like this band's doing wild stuff. I'm convinced they're from the future or something.
Absolutely, because it has this liveliness to it, this energy to it. It's fast, it kicks ass, and then it gets all like, I don't want to say proggy, but like very post-hardcore sounding and very repetitive.
Oh yes,
because it is an 8-minute song.
Yes, very repetitive. It's very like mathy and noisy, and very repetitive. And then around like the 6:20 mark, it starts fading out. But
it's solid ass song. And then Graphic Verispeed is 11 minutes, and that one is a little bit more of the ambient atmosphere stuff that we come to. That's a little long.
I think even for like an ambient soundscape thing, it is a whole lot of nothing. I'm sure there's people who can defend it. I'm not one of them.
Here's the thing, and even I would say less defensible is on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost listened to it by mistake because it's under albums. They have from 1980 Graphic Verispeed, and then in parentheses 16 RPM, which I've learned, at least I believe, is Graphic Verispeed played at 16 RPM.
Oh, that's
and it's
what you're
half an hour of nothing instead of 11 minutes of nothing. That's hilarious. I mean, I don't know why the fuck they did that. So, because they also have it, you know what? They have it at 33 and they have it at 78. They released this track on all speeds.
Well, they did their due diligence.
They put them all streaming because just in case sometimes you want to play the record at a faster speed and slower speed. So obviously the one at 78 is only 6 minutes. So I'm sure it sounds much cooler and faster. But the one from the EP is indeed 45. But
worth it for the title track. Yes.
Worth it for the title track, I would say. But now on to the second album. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yes. This is 1981's Deceit.
Sleep, 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 go to sleep. Sleep,
well, that's unsettling.
Already. It's unsettling, but it's playing a happy melody. But it's fucking weird.
Go to sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep.
And then it's like a bouncy little, but it's so strange.
It's so strange, yeah. There's elements I recognize, like it's very Middle Eastern sounding. You could argue the chanting thing is kind of like a lullaby, but that's not what my ears are fully hearing.
Yeah. It's this happy lullaby thing, but it's so off.
Softness is a thing called comfort. Never forget you have a choice.
I like how we're just sitting here like, yeah.
I know, it's just so unusual because it is like an accessible song for them. Like this is really, you could almost show this to people. It's weird, but it's like,
Yeah, you could like, you know.
those are good harmonies. But in 1981, who the fuck was doing this?
These guys were.
So the only problem I have with that song is that it has a very bizarre bitch ass quick fade out. Very quick fade out. But as an album, this is so different.
Yeah, this is very different from the last album. These are more songs.
Yeah.
But it's still weird. It's still disturbing. I'm really enamored with this album. This because it's so unique and weird.
It's great. This is it's so different, and it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting more disturbing, like in a basement stuff. This, yeah, it's definitely cleaner. There's more songwriting here, but the songwriting, this is a whole other layer of the band. It's truly unique songs. Like what?
I was already like interested, like enamored by the band, but like Paper Hats, like,
oh yeah,
fucking,
oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, this like, it's unique, weird, like psychedelia math rock, and they're these fucking maniacs, and the drummer is going so hard.
Yeah.
And they have this noisy part, and then they followed up with this like groovy part to close. It's just, they're fucking maniacs. Just making these choices I don't know, like I can't imagine anyone making. Like, again, just adding to the like alien nature of the band.
Yeah, the changes are completely out of left field. It sounds like pianos are falling downstairs. It's just crazy stuff happening. But when it reins it in, like that groovy section you're talking about with like this palm muted guitar and this really cool hi-hat driven beat, it's like each section is so fucking painfully distinct and unique, and they shouldn't go together, but I mean it's just a fucking crazy album, so you don't mind them kind of being smashed together in one song. And the screams are so unsettling. They're like, man, like, but also if you take away, like, that's just like the performances and the arrangements. The actual guitar lines, they're downright strange. They're just wrong notes everywhere, but they're not wrong in like they're not wrong in an ugly, I don't know, Dillinger kind of way where it feels just wrong in a heavy and abrasive. It's wrong in uncomfortable. Like they're just strange lines.
Yeah, I really felt that on Cenotaph.
Oh yeah, Cenotaph, yeah.
Again, just unbelievably hard with the drumming and these unique arrangements and beats, and it's just filled with all these like wrong, like quote unquote wrong notes, but it's just so different and so unique. There's lots of bands who play like wrong notes and noisy stuff, but not like this. Not like this.
That's Cenotaph has moments of almost a regular song in there, but around it, you got the fucking crazy inventive drum beats, and you got these fucked up vocal harmonies. It's disturbed ass music. I'm gonna keep saying it, but it's super cool. And then Triumph, which is I'm not sure what instrument that is, but it's the closest these guys get to being triumphant. That's for sure.
Very funny that they made a song called Triumph, and it is very triumphant. And I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that those are kazoos.
Oh, I don't see kazoos in the thing.
That's a damn shit. It sounded like I'm sure
that'd be great.
It could be anything, but to my ears sounded like I found it like the way like Robert gets off on like funny songs. I was like, oh, this is how like he must feel.
Yeah, it's still like I don't know. That song is all over the place because you get the standard kind of like experimental stuff where it just sounds like items falling off of shelves, but there's a simple melody there and it is nice. And then everything around it just starts getting warped and you get the really unusual vocals going and then the crazy wild percussion comes in. It's a little all over the place, but it is a very interesting song.
Yeah. And then SPQR brings some high energy, which I thought was interesting because they were playing like there's heavy things like how we heard on the opener, but it's not like I wouldn't call anything on the last album high energy necessarily because it is like this journey that you go on. So yeah, that was like kind of cool to hear from them.
I wasn't expecting the shiny, clean drum. I mean, just relatively shiny, clean drums on that song. Like they're really pretty clear.
Yeah, kind of.
They sound good.
Kind of glossed over it, but yeah, the production. Not that like the production value hurt the last album at all, but like yeah, the production is like a bit cleaner here.
It's a bit cleaner on certain songs. It stands out more. I think SBQR is one of the ones where it comes in and it is very noticeable. Another one. That shrink wrap.
Oh, dude!
I mean, I think the fact that it's that short is very good for it.
That Chan is like one of their most off-putting things, and I mean that complimentary.
Oh, it's off-putting, all right. Yeah, it's tons and tons of vocal layers. Short, but very, very good stuff. What the hell else we got here?
Dude, Radio Prague is like, I think they have songs where you're just like, oh, that's immediately creepy. I think Radio Prague's more like subtly creepy. Like you don't notice it at first, but you're like, no, this is fucked up. It is definitely fucked up. Yeah. And like,
it's a weird song.
Oh man, giving me like anxiety at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has this like this fast pulsing that goes out pretty much consistently throughout the whole thing on these little random voice fragments. It is another well done weird one.
That pulsing thing. It's almost like nails on a chalkboard to me, where I'm like, just fucking stop.
That is effective. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And one of the best songs,
dude.
One of the best songs, Makeshift Swahili. Good. I mean, legitimately heavy.
Who was screaming like that?
Insane screams.
I don't even think metal bands were screaming like that.
The shouting on there is so cool. It sounds like he's dying.
Yeah,
but it's very cool sounding.
It is. Yeah, I'm with you. Where it's one of my favorite songs by them. This because again, it's just an instance of them being like time travelers. Where like, what would possess you to do like? It almost sounds like jaded and cynical a little bit, and I don't mean to be, but like now I'm just like I can be surprised. But it's like, oh, well, with streaming and internet, like you have all these like resources. So it's not really surprising to me, if that makes sense. If like a newer band, I would probably still appreciate it and like it. But if it was a newer band, I'd be like, oh, well, you probably listen to A, B, C, and D. But here
I saw, yeah.
Yeah. What is like driving you to make a song like this in 81?
That's very interesting. I saw like a a clip or a little video of Orson Welles when he was like in his older, larger years. And
those are the best. Was it a Peas commercial?
No, it wasn't, but that would be great. My lady friend suggested we watch Citizen Kane recently, which I'd never seen.
Oh wow,
yeah, it's the greatest movie ever made. I mean, it's really. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the greatest movie, but it is definitely one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
I need to watch fantastic. I need to watch it as an adult. I watched it in my early 20s. I was just like, go. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I loved every second of it. But so it was a clip of him talking about. He said that the worst. He was talking about modern directors and how the problem, what's wrong with all of them, is that they watch too much shit. They watch and they consume too much shit, and it influences their stuff. And he said there's nothing worse in art than homage. I was like, damn, dude.
You know what's funny? I get
must be nice to have that infinite well from the universe.
I get what he's like. I kind of disagree, but I get what he's getting at. And in a way, he's almost like he's from the future too, because like, oh man, like we're going from like Orson Welles to Star Wars here, but I feel like the biggest problem with Star Wars is like Star Wars was inspired by like Westerns and samurai films, and it came out as this like unique sci-fi movie. But now the people making Star Wars are influenced by Star Wars.
Yeah.
So like, I totally get what he's saying, but yeah, he probably has like a developed like real taste that he probably just noticed it way before anyone else did.
I agree with him and also very much disagree with him. I agree with him in the sense that it is better to have something come from to you. I'm gonna get real out there. Just warning y'all to get there from the source. I think Rick Rubin calls it the source. You call it God. You can call it universe. You can call it whatever you want. It's just something outside you that comes because you don't really pick your thoughts. You just thoughts sort of pop in and then you pick from what's been like. My example of that is like, think of a movie right now. Like 5 are gonna pop into your head. You didn't pick those 5, but you can pick from those 5.
Sure.
That kind of thing. So, yeah, if you whatever you get from randomly when it comes to making art, that's always going to be something very pure. But if you're watching a bunch of shit, then there is something that I appreciate because we listen to so much fucking music that when I make music, obviously stuff is going to come in. But what comes in, at least from what I'm noticing, is more of what things don't I want to do. And what things do I like generally about the way an album flows or way a song moves? And what things do I want to avoid that I've noticed that I don't like? It's not so much about trying to sound like someone or taking an influence because you really like how this song made you feel, so you're using that. It's more so of like, what can I do to not make it? What can I do to make it not sound like XYZ? More so than how can I pay homage and make it seem good just like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think the flip side to that is being like an actual student of the game, whether if it's music, films, whatever, where yeah, you're using it more for like inspiration or so yeah, I agree and disagree. Like, get where he's coming from and like think, yeah, you make great points too. And yeah,
the problem with his, or not the problem with his necessarily, the problem with my perspective of like ingesting a lot, it's the 900 from Tony Hawk.
Where
you
do you
know
go?
It can be done.
Where
you know it. Like he was the first one to do it. So everyone after is like, oh, it can be done.
Yeah.
Therefore, everyone
everyone like does it now. It's crazy.
Yes. So you look at an album like this, and you hear it, and you think these kinds of crazy melodies, these really unusual, unsettling songs, this can be done. Therefore, this can influence others. At the time, how do you know this can be? That's what's impressive about it. Like we're just circling back to there. We just basically ran in a circle. But it's so impressive. The fact that what the fuck? How do you write makeshift Swahili? How do you write that from nothing?
It's the 900 of noise rock.
It is this heat is the 900 of noise rock. Not even noise rock. It's just fucking whatever the hell this is. And then Independence, which I love. It's he's one of them is reading off the Constitution, and it has, I don't know if they sound like samples from Morricone, the whistles. I think it's from Fistful of Dollars. I think it's from the, it could be a few dollars more, but I think it's from A Fistful of Dollars, the little whistle. I've heard that soundtrack more times than I can count. So I recognize that fucking whistle anywhere, but I can't explain why I'm so drawn to that song. It's just, it's Asian, but with Morricone whistles with this really unsettling harmonized vocals reading off the Constitution. It's just, I've just never heard anything like it.
It is their like most whimsical song, but whimsical for them, not for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. A New Kind of Water is, I wish the album ended with A New Kind of Water. I mean, it rules. Like it starts off as like this unnerving, disturbing bullshit. And then when the drums come in and guitar comes in, it just kicks so much ass. Amazing.
Yeah. This is like a bad acid trip. And I think, I don't know, this kind of band, I'm like, of course, like it's like a soundscape to end the thing with Hibaku Shoyo.
Oh yeah, Hibaku Shio.
Yeah,
suffer bomb disease.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it didn't like hurt the album for me, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Where A New Kind of Water is really strong, and
then that the suffer bomb disease one. I mean, it's 4 minutes of it. Like if it was like 2 minutes, that would be a bit much for an outro, but fine. It's 4 minutes of just the ambience. It kind of takes the impact out of the album, but New Kind of Water does leave a good taste.
I guess this album flows more with like songs, where the other one was like a score, so it can earn those. It kind of earns those soundscapes or the like ambient noise stuff more, where like this one, it's like a little jarring because this like flow, like to my ears, like more like traditional songs.
Yeah. It stands out as, oh, this is the track where they're dicking around. Whereas the other one, it's like this is a one big piece. There's going to be lots of interludes and dicking around in between. It becomes a different experience. It feels a lot more like a sore thumb, but still, what a crazy, interesting album. I mean, I couldn't have dreamed of some of these melodies. I mean, they're just so unlike anything. They're just, they're so what they are.
Yeah, like I've probably used alien to describe, like, I try to use that like very sparingly.
Yeah.
But these guys are fucking time traveler. They're doing some sort of magic with a K, like just crazy visionaries. And it does feel like a little like weird saying that for like a band I just like heard, but I was just, my mind's blown. Like they're gonna stay in rotation for me.
Yeah. And the same for me. This is one of my favorite new bands that I've heard in a while. I mean, new, obviously not new, but Jesus Christ, this is. I really want to like dissect these on my own and really just let them sink in, because there's something that, man, it's really this band also came at the right time. I'm just really interested in a lot of art now. I'm doing the opposite of Orson Welles. I'm watching every kind of movie. I'm reading a fucking ton. I'm listening to a ton of music. I'm just ingesting all the fucking art that I possibly can.
Well, you know what?
And the darker the better.
If Orson Welles was really, like talking the talk, I don't think he would have had that weird stage in his career where he's doing like commercials and
Oh, that's hilarious.
has
That's,
a fucking talk show and
yeah. What an interesting character. That guy was a character. I want to watch more of his movies, but I have no idea where to go next. Because people only talk about Citizen Kane.
There's a
That's
second
his
one.
fucking first one.
There's a second one. Hold on. I don't know if you want to leave this in or not. When we're talking about like things that were like ahead of their time, fucking he did one of the fucking the radio for War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah, War of the Worlds. Yeah,
where
yeah.
people thought it was
that changed.
people thought it was real because it was so
So convincing. Yeah,
Okay,
that was. He had this like this conglomerate like theater thing before he started making movies, and that was one of the things. I think that was one of the byproducts of it.
Okay, so the other two that I want to check, I mean, he has more than these, but like the other two that I want to check out are Touch of Evil and Chimes at Midnight.
Oh, okay. Those ring a bell.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be watching those. I'm very excited to now. I also, completely unrelated, finally watched Casablanca. Also very good. Turns out these old movies that people talk about a lot are very good.
I need to watch Casablanca and Gone with the Wind. I've never seen them, but if you're doing your old movie epic thing, let me know what you think about Big. I watched that during the pandemic. I don't.
Oh, Big?
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I've seen Big. Yeah. I don't love Big. It's
Okay,
fine.
that makes me
it's
feel
for what it
better.
is. It's yeah. I've never been a huge Big fan.
I get why it was considered like revolutionary and all that, but
Tom Hanks Big?
no.
Oh, see, I was like, what the fuck? See, that's where my mind goes.
Oh, sorry. I'm a dum-dum. I think it's Giant. I was like
Giant. Oh, I don't know Giant.
1956. It's a big American epic. James Dean, Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson. Doing my best. Ben Makowitz. There's someone random in it too.
Dennis Hopper's in it.
Yeah, that's what it was. A young Dennis Hopper.
Young Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll fucks with this. It's a Western. I do love me some Western.
It's not really a Western.
Oh, okay. It's just like Western, like the same way No Country for Old Men is a Western.
Yeah, this really takes place like following this family that like are they like oil, and it pretty much just takes place on their property. It goes other places, but it's this big sprawling saga that goes across like multiple generations.
Very long movie. Very long movie. 200 minutes.
It's giant.
Holy crap.
It's giant. I don't know why I thought it was big. It's been a long day.
Oh, it's close enough. Although, if I didn't clarify, and I was just under the impression that you thought that Big was this really important movie. I'm like, Big is okay.
It is an important movie. The fucking dancing on the keyboards.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
More people know about that than fucking Rosebud.
That is true. Fuck Rosebud, dude.
Also, Orson Welles. Oh man, I would have loved to see Orson Welles talking to Jodorowsky.
Oh man,
he was supposed to be the Baron Harkonnen.
Was he really?
In Jodorowsky's Dune, and Jodorowsky was going to pay him in food and wine. He was that fat at that point. Yeah,
fucking man. I haven't seen the Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary, in a long time. I remember loving
I know what
that.
we're doing when you come to town.
Hell yeah. Oh, damn. But yeah, this band has left quite a mark. And I'm glad to have. Thank you, Greg, for suggesting this band. Holy crap. This has been a delight.
Yeah, these episodes are the highs, but also, you know what? Orson Welles, if I didn't consume so much, I would have never found this heat.
That is true. Yeah. Man, boy, do we consume. Holy God. So after this album, this is from the wiki, so take with a grain of salt, but it says this, they split up in 1982 after completing their final European tour with bassist, vocalist Trevor Goranwi.
I don't like that name.
And keyboardist,
I don't like that name.
No. It sounds like an orc. And keyboardist Ian Hill joining Bullen and Hayward. Hayward went on to form Camberwell Now with Goranwi and Stephen Rickard. and remains musically active. Bullen went on to collaborate with bassist and percussionist Dub Judah on a solo venture called Life Tones, releasing an album titled For a Reason 1983 on his Tone of Life imprint. And in 1998, he released the album Internal Clock under the name Circadian Rhythms. Williams later formed Flaming Tunes with Mary Curie and released a cassette of material, which was later released on CD. So not that much. So we didn't listen to this, but apparently in 1993, a new album of previously unreleased Deceit recordings was unearthed, and it's called Repeat. Repeat featured 3 long tracks, including the title track, a 20-minute remix of 24-track loop.
We don't need to listen.
Out of cold storage. 3 long tracks, including the title track. Wow, that the sentence just ends there. Wait, who the fuck wrote this wiki? Let me read that again. Repeat featured 3 long tracks, including the title track, a 20-minute remix of 24-track loop, period. That's what the fuck?
You need an and in there, and the third track.
You need an and there. That was a blue ball of a sentence. That's ridiculous. And then out of cold storage is there's a box set with all the official recordings, and they came out in 2006. Apparently in December 2001, Deceit tentatively rehearsed with Williams. However, nothing came to fruition as Williams died later that month of cancer. That month.
Man.
Holy crap. In 2016, Bullen and Hayward reunited under the name This Is Not Deceit to perform a number of critically acclaimed gigs in London. The concerts featured several guests such as Thurston Moore, Alexis Taylor, Alex Ward, and Daniel O'Sullivan. The reunion continued across the following 3 years, concluding with a small series of shows in London, New York, and Los Angeles in 2019. God damn it.
Ooh, so close. So close.
So close. I mean, it's 6 years, but fuck, man, if we would have started this podcast 6 years before, then
Yeah.
In August 2020, this Deceit released part of its catalog digitally and streaming services, including Bandcamp. So that's why we have this stuff now, and I'm very excited to hear the appeal sessions after this. But yeah, this is a good one. Thank you, Greg, for suggesting this. This is has enriched our vocabularies musically.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for listening and watching and hanging out. If you want to support us further, you know what to do. Go to Patreon, just like Greg. And just because we're not accepting more requests at the moment doesn't mean there isn't still cool stuff there, like bonus episodes. You get to see our schedules in advance. You get to join the Discord, be part of the community, talk some shit with us. And if you're tier 2, you can suggest any album from anywhere, and we'll do bonus episodes on it. There's a lot of fun bonus episodes there. You can follow me on all social media at Panda Monkey and Alex on Bluesky at
Octatron3030.
And our history guy, Tom Osman at Tom Osman Sounds. You can also check out his music at tomosmansounds.com and his podcast, whatever comes next, where he interviews a bunch of interesting musicians. Links to all that in the description. My EP links to that in the description as well. And I think that about does it. So until the next one, thanks so much for listening and watching. See ya.